Aquarius Rising. You are ruled by Uranus, and Uranus rules eccentricism, whatever that word is. Big shifts, dramatic changes, enterprises, futuristicness, aviation, astrology. Aquarius rising people tend to have a really sharp tongue. So the message that they're trying to convey usually comes like a little bit different, and they express themselves verbally in a way where some people might not know how to take it. So it can come off either a little harsh, or sometimes they might use the wrong word and you can be offended. But when they really want to offend you, when they really want to like say something they mean, they really can be. Like if someone is naturally just really spicy with their language, like they're probably an Aquarius rising. But ultimately, these are the rebels. These are the people, like regardless of their general temperament, if they're shy or whatever, they always can get people feeling, they always get people feeling just some type of way about whatever it is that thing is. So whatever it is that they value their uniqueness in, you always have a way to like rub people the wrong way about it. And Aquarius rising has also come into this life to create change, introduce change, and to make people think differently. To make, these are the Black Panthers really believe in just like a greater humanity, and so they will. It's usually kind of abrupt, and it's usually they're here to just disturb the status quo and make people think differently, and they've come to do that. And so they're kind of unapologetic about it. They don't really care if they hurt people's feelings or offend people. It's just about the message that they're trying to convey. So sometimes to get the message across, it has to be a little bit spicy. So in that sense, they rule the new age, and they've come to mentally challenge people, all of us, because Uranus is all about breakthroughs, and where we have breakthroughs are usually followed by an initial breakdown. So actually, these, although they can be they have that stereotype as being aloof, they're usually quite emotional, so they usually have a lot of breakdowns. It's just usually in secret, but they have a lot of breakthroughs to themselves, and they're here to kind of share those things and embrace the change within the people. When I think about Aquarius, I think about it's fixed air, and so that makes me think about a balloon in the sky, just floating up in the sky. Although it's still surrounded by air, there is a fixed amount of air in that balloon itself. So Aquarius is the air inside the balloon that is floating away in the air. And so that's why they come across as aloof or disconnected or detached, because they're so in their own heads, they're so in their own minds, but they're also thinking ahead of the game. They're always, like an Aquarius will always tell you that they're 10 steps ahead of you. They've already thought about the future. They've already thought about like how this pans out. It's why they don't really seem connected in the present, because they're always thinking about the future. And another stereotype that they get is being cold. And they're kind of like I said before, they are really emotional people. They just don't let you see that. Well, Uranus is actually the coldest planet, and so that's where they get their reputation of being cold. Even people with just significant Aquarius placements, they tend to get more upset about social injustice, and like if they see someone getting bullied, if they see just general injustice or some discrimination happening, they seem to get more upset about that than anything that personally happens to them. Because Aquarius rising are usually thinking ahead, they're in their balloon, and so they're thinking about the world. They're thinking about, their big scale thinkers, and they're always thinking about the future. And so they're probably doing their part around global warming and politics and what the state of the world and all those kind of things. And so because they value that so highly, they're happy to be awkward. They're happy to stand out and not kind of fit in with the general public, because they're so fixed on the world and the people and the state of the earth. And so if that makes them awkward, then they're going to be awkward, because they really understand and value the importance of the place that we live in. One positive is that they have a really high self-esteem around their mental capabilities, and so some might describe them as even having like a god complex. So you can never they're like the know-it-alls. You can never tell an Aquarius anything. They know it already, they've studied it, they know all you need to know, and you can never tell them new information. And it's like almost as if you can't keep up with these people because their mind's always 10 steps ahead. And a lot of you probably grew up feeling like the black sheep. A lot of you probably grew up feeling like, even if you weren't the black sheep, you probably felt like no one really understood the way that you thought, or you were just the weirdo, or just thought about weird things, always had really strange answers to questions. So that's where the rebellion comes in. That's where this rebellious stereotype comes in. It's because you're not really going with what everyone else is saying and doing. It's not just what's in the textbook, it's what's happening in the world. It's what you do your research from outside sources. You do independent research. You don't just reading like what school tells you about the world. You are going above and beyond. One thing about Aquarius rising is that with your money you can kind of get a bit reckless, but I think that comes from being a little bit detached from, you know, the material world. It's almost sometimes you can become too detached, and so like not really valuing money to a point where you kind of give it away, or you're the first one to just like give to people even if you don't really have it. So you got to be careful with your money and get with budgeting or spending, or just knowing how to work with money better, because you may tend to feel like you're in lack financially, or like have this lack mindset, because with the material world you just don't, it's not your favorite thing, and so you kind of disconnect from it, but it kind of comes back to bite you, because anything material you tend to give away or don't have an attachment to. And then sometimes you can find yourself in a sticky situation. With Aquarius rising people, they usually have a very significant relationship with their mother figures, maybe the grandmother. They tend to be raised either very closely, or like their mum was maybe like both the parents, or you probably say things like, you know, without my mum, I don't know where I'd be today. Like your mum almost like saved your life, or just a very significant person, or it's like a real ride or die in some way, or the opposite, really neglectful, or was very selfish. It's like it's very extreme for Aquarius rising, so it's one or the other, either very selfish and just didn't really care, was there but not really present, was really only bothered about her own like self and like living her life as an independent person, like not really acknowledging that she had a child, or was just like you're everything, and without her she just really has like set a really good and strong solid foundation of women for you. So Aquarius rising as children, I feel like you were the kids who probably were like got suspended or got into trouble a lot about the things that you said. You probably were really rude to teachers, and people just thought you were really rude or disrespectful, but you just thought you were speaking your truth, and you just thought it was your opinion, and you didn't think you should get in trouble for those kind of things. You probably got suspended or moved schools a lot. You probably maybe moved countries or towns a lot. You had to always keep moving as a child. Or you were like head of the year, head of the grade, like you were, or you were the younger one in the school. Something about like just being moved around. Maybe kept moving around in the classroom. That you could never find a classroom that was really fit your skill level. So you guys find it really difficult to stay in one job for too long. Find it really difficult to have the same job for too long. Like maybe get fired a lot. Or yeah, just get really bored easily of having a job. And so yeah, you're definitely people who just need to have either like a good work-life balance, or just work for yourself, or not have like a job where they're controlling you. So you could be really good like delivery drivers, where you're just in the car driving around, bopping around, your music, your pace, whatever, getting it done, but it doesn't really work for you, like sitting behind a desk and having lunch at this time of this day whenever people, yeah, just none of that works for Aquarius rising. What I will say lastly is you have come to embrace your creativity and use your emotions with that too. You've come to evolve your emotions, and that should be a daily task. That should be something that you exercise regularly. Try not to get too distracted by your friends. You have like really stand out friends who can be distracting to you. Maybe you have like famous friends, well-known friends that can kind of lead you off the path, but they can also be really helpful in getting you, like, progressing you. Try not to get too distracted by what everyone else is doing, or like following certain people online that are like that you're influenced by, and that takes you out of your own path.